Hey, how's it going? Nat here. Let's see what's making news. There's been a major shake-up in US politics after a huge announcement from President Joe Biden overnight.
Joe Biden bombshell is sending shockwaves around the world.
President Joe Biden has just announced
that he is dropping out of the 2024 presidential race.
Yep, you've heard that right. US President Joe Biden has officially dropped out of the race for the White House. See, over the past month, President Biden has been swamped with calls to step aside after what many consider to be some pretty abysmal debating. And generally just seeming a bit too old for the job.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be Vice President.
And while he originally said he wasn't going anywhere, he's now decided to bow out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should be having somebody younger running the country.
I think it was a very patriotic thing to do.
While a candidate abandoning their campaign like this has happened before, it's never happened this close to Election Day.
I wish it happened like a year ago to have like a full primary process.
I just hope the Democratic Party has a plan.
Part of that plan could be Vice President Kamala Harris, who the president has endorsed to replace him. But she still needs to win the support of Democratic higher-ups before she can go head-to-head with Donald Trump, who became the official Republican nominee last week.
The world is still getting back online after what's looking like the biggest ever IT outage sent things blue. The outage, which hit on Friday afternoon, caused huge problems for some Microsoft Windows users, impacting everything from airports and banks to media companies and supermarkets. We now know it was caused by a dodgy software update from a US cybersecurity company called CrowdStrike. And Microsoft reckons it affected about 8.5 million devices around the world. Now to sport, and Aussie Oscar Piastri has just won his first Formula One Grand Prix.
Piastri takes the lead of the race!
Things started off strong for Australia's very own Oscar Piastri at the Hungarian Grand Prix. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. His McLaren teammate Lando Norris scored pit stop priority, even though he was in second place, under a promise to swap back before the end of the race. But Norris then nearly took the win for himself.
Lando Norris goes past his teammate, and it's going to be the net lead of the Grand Prix.
Before remembering his promise and letting Piastri get past him to become the 5th Australian ever to win an F1 Grand Prix.
Oscar Piastri wins for the first time in Formula One. It's a McLaren 1-2.
Now over to someone who's no stranger to winning, Tadej Pogacar, who's just won his 3rd Tour de France. Pogacar dominated the final stage to seal a historic Giro d'Italia Tour de France double win.
It's hard to describe how I feel right now. It's all a bit crazy.
Speaking of crazy, check out these crazy brave divers at the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series in Northern Ireland. These competitors were judged on their acrobatics and artistic movements on the way down. Wow. With Australia's Rhiannon Ifland taking out the women's comp. Yeah, best to leave it to the professionals.
Now it's time to take a dip, because we're about to test the waters with these next stories. Oh, it's a bit cold. First up, to the waters off the coast of Victoria, where a mass migration of spider crabs is raising scientists' eyebrows. Thousands of these crabs arrive to shed their old shells. We know that, but otherwise we still don't really know where they come from or why they gather together in big groups like this, which is why these researchers have spent the last month analysing thousands of photos captured by underwater cameras to better understand these curious crustaceans. Now to Paris, where the Olympic torch is making its way through town ahead of the big event. It's even taken a spin on the longest rowing boat in the world, the Stamford Express, which measures in at 43.8 metres long and seats 24 people. And finally, to Florida in the US, where an Ernest Hemingway lookalike competition has brought together dozens of grey-haired and bearded gentlemen from all over town. It's all to celebrate 125 years since the famous author was born and his impact on American literature.
Ernest Hemingway is famous here, and his legacy carries on.